Okay, so welcome back to my channel. This is going to be my recap of Marry My Husband, Season 1, Episode 16. This is the season finale, so quite a bit happened. So it opens with Yura. She's in the police station, and of course she's being her normal highfalutin self, like, and she's making comments like, this place sucks, and of course they're watching her on the monitors. And so the prosecutor walks in and to basically do his spiel, and she tells him, like, basically, do I look like a fool? Do I look like somebody who would be scared because you walked into the room? And so eventually her guy comes in, and next thing you know, you see her walking out. And so Mr. Yu's grandfather is there in the car, and she goes to sit in the car with him, and he basically tells her that you have crossed the line this time, and that UNK is doing I guess they're doing a missionary trip or something to Africa, and he felt that she should probably go and basically get away for a while, and he wants her to tender her resignation immediately. And of course, not to be outdone, she's basically like, why in the world would I resign, and why in the world would I volunteer somewhere? Basically, I ain't going nowhere, and I'm not quitting. So she get out the car, and as she's walking towards her vehicle, Mr. Yu walks up, and he says to her, well, I tried to tell him, but he didn't really know who you, but he doesn't really know who you are. Basically saying that, he thought you could be reasoned with, but okay, I knew better. Mr. Yu is saying, well, you should have thought about that before you tried to kill Ji-hyuk. And she says to him, even if that did happen, you have no way of proving that. And so then a car pulls up, and Ji-hyuk's mom and Sumi's dad pops out. And of course, she's sitting there with the stuck face, because based on what the last time we saw them, we as the audience thought that they were unalived. So they get out the car, and they're looking at her all crazy, and she's looking at them, and she got this weird look on her face. And Mr. Yu says, you need to pray for what you did. The problem is you think that you can have whatever you want whenever you want it. And then you see them put the handcuffs on the parents for attempted murder, and then the prosecutor walks up to her, and it's basically like, based on, new evidence, I think I'm going to need to speak with you again. And so, of course, she ends up having to go back into the police station. So we flash to Miss Yang. She appears to be doing well after the surgery, and she gives everybody a thumbs up. Soo-jun is there. Her parents and her daughter is there, and of course Ji-hyuk and Miss Yu, and so everybody seems to be in good spirits, right? And then she mentioned Min-hwan's funeral. Apparently the funeral took place downstairs, and she I guess felt bad that she wasn't able to attend, and Soo-jun basically like, you were preparing for surgery, like you weren't in any position to go anyway. And so she was like, so you're nagging again. So they're like going back and forth like some old married couple. So she ends up giving them an update on her divorce, saying that they were able to recover the SD card. And, she's talking about her husband and basically how useless he was, and how he was never going to be any help or, any blessing or anything to their daughter. So it's kind of better. It's better this way. So we go to the office. Shows up because they're supposed to be finalizing the recipes for the meal kit, and Hyo tells him that Ji-hyuk is running late because she had something else to take care of, but that she could walk him through what's going on. So they're sitting down, they're talking, just banter back and forth, and then she eventually admits that she likes him, and of course he always has this look on his face. So we go to Ji-hyuk and Mr. Yu. They're finally sitting down to have a meal with his grandfather. Hyo is there. And the grandfather is saying that when it comes to life, you can't have both. Because he's going to inherit the company. You're going to have to kind of weigh your happiness and his responsibility. And so they talked about that for a bit. And so in the next scene, you see Sumi buying a gas can. So, okay. After that, you see a gathering at, I think that might be Ji-hwan's apartment. So of course Mr. Yu was there, Suk-joon is there, Miss Yang, Hyo, Eun-ho, I believe, is there, and I think I might be missing somebody, but they were celebrating Eun-ho's success as far as the meal kit, and also celebrating Miss Yang's divorce has been finalized. And so Miss Yang says to Suk-joon, "It's strange, that you're here." And then, of course, he has to come back with, "Well, I'm not here for you. I'm a member of the UNK family, so I'm just, that's why I'm here to support, like, the project." And, of course, Miss Yang says in a sarcastic way, you're incredible to UNK. And you kind of see Mr. Yu and Ji-hwan kind of, like, smirking, like, "Lord have mercy. Just admit y'all feelings for each other already." So, after, they say their goodbyes, Mr. Yu goes to his apartment and everybody goes home. Ji-hwan starts hearing noises, so she doesn't see anything on the security camera, so she goes to open the door, and of course Sumi is there and forces herself in. And the next thing you see is Ji-hwan, she's tied up on the floor, and Sumi's pouring the gas everywhere. So Ji-hwan comes to, and they're talking, and of course Sumi is telling her that she only ever thinks of herself. And Ji-hwan says, "You always live up to my expectations." And Sumi starts saying, "Stop acting tough." And basically, you knew that Min-hwan was trash, and you dumped him on me. And Ji-hwan says, "Is that why you killed him?" And Sumi was like, "Well, he tried to kill me first." And Ji-hwan was like, "Well, you're good at playing the victim." And so, of course, Sumi was like, basically, "I won." And Ji-hwan says, "No, I won." And she stands up, and she breaks the restraints. And so next thing they're tussling. She wrestles her to the ground. And she says to Sumi, "I've learned so many things because of you." And so Sumi says, "You knew I was coming." And Ji-hwan was like, "Yeah, and the charges are no longer manslaughter. You just admitted it, right?" And so then she looks up to the corner, and there's a camera that caught the entire interaction and the entire conversation. Okay, so the episode backtracks a bit to the dinner that Ji-hwan, Mr. Yu, and Hyo had when they sat down to have dinner with his grandfather. And after the meal, they're kind of sitting around talking, and Suk-joon comes in and he pulls Mr. Yu aside and informs him that he has just been told that Sumi bought the gas can and the thinner. And so he suggested that they increase security, but Ji-hwan, overhearing the conversation, told him that it's not the best idea to do that she wants to come for me, so just let her come for me. And so next scene, we see her at the dojo, and she's basically, I guess, learning some more moves so that she's better able to defend herself when Sumi eventually comes for her. So we finally flash back to the present where she has her pinned to the ground, and the police walks in and takes her into custody. And so later that night, they're talking, Mr. Yu and Ji-hwan are talking, and he basically predicted that, it should be nothing but good things from here on out. So in the next scene, you see Yura, she's leaving the police station. Her guy basically said that you have been ordered to, we need to leave the country tonight. Like right now, we have to go to the airport. And of course, she blames him, telling him that he can't do anything right. And she fires him, and she asks for her plane ticket. So next thing you know, she's pulling out like a bat out of hell, speeding, swerving through all these cars, trying to get to the airport. And so the next day, Mr. Yu gets out of the shower, and he realizes that the heart is gone. And so he's telling Ji-hwan, and so I guess they're realizing that this is it. This is our life. Like, we don't get any more do-overs. We need to make this life count. And so while they're, dealing with that, they hear the news that she had gotten into a car accident and was, sent to the hospital, but she didn't make it. And so the next scene, we see Suk-joon and Miss Yang in court, basically her getting her divorce finalized, and he's congratulating her, and They still with shenanigans. So then we go to, they're celebrating, and you see they're now at Yunho's restaurant. He finally got his restaurant, and so everybody's happy about that. And so they're at the office, and they're doing taste tests on some of the dishes that's supposed to go in the meal kit. And afterwards, Mr. Kim walks over and he apologizes to Ji-hwan for basically being a snake. Right, and of course she's she's not gonna hold any grudges. I mean, it's no point. She's happy. She's just like whatever. They're just gonna move past it. So we go to Sumi. She's obviously in prison, and she's still lying, blaming everything on Ji-hwan and how she's crazy and how Ji-hwan was delusional. And even the lady was like, "Wow, she sounds like a lunatic." I mean, just going off, right? Getting into it. And so later that night, I guess they were talking, and she found out about the wedding that Mr. Yu and Ji-hwan was going to get married, and she loses it so much so that the guards has to come in and restrain her. So of course we get to the wedding. Of course the wedding was beautiful. It was everything you would think a $1 billion couple, a $1 billion couple's wedding would look like, and of course all their friends and family are there. And so it's just kind of a montage of Ji-hwan and Mr. Yu. They have 3 children. They're thriving. They're happy. Everybody's healthy. And the final scene is basically them in their this gallery, or this foundation that they established, and they're basically thanking each other for, I guess, finally they're finally found their happiness with each other. And that is pretty much how this episode ends. It was a roller coaster, but like I said, this is actually the first K-drama that I've watched from start to finish, and I really enjoyed it, and I would suggest that people check it out. So I'm going to end this here, and I will talk to you guys later.